It's such an important talk, such an important day that we're having here at CTO Craft. As a as a CTO, as developers, as leaders, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that people are not just workers. We are whole body, like we are people at home, we are people at work. Our lives don't stop. And the point of this talk today is everyone is burned out. So I'm going to go over some quick identification of who we are and how we can identify these burnout and what to do about it. So a little bit about who I am. I am Heather Wilde. I was an early employee at Evernote and at Spirit Airlines in the United States, a little bit kind of like Ryanair. I've been a fractional CTO for multiple companies. I'm one of the few female advisory board chairs in the world for UNLV in the United States. I've won a lot of awards. I write a lot of content online. And even though COVID stopped my travel dead, I average around 150 days on the road a year for the last 15 years, and I have many in experience of getting burned out. So first off, what is stress? Well, stress is the feeling of being under pressure. Symptoms include anger and anxiety, difficulty sleeping, loss of appetite, breathlessness, chest pains. People who are under prolonged are at greater risk of health problems like high blood pressure and heart attacks. As people, we're under greater stress than ever. We live in a stress-filled environment that either breaks us or makes us cope with life's mundane ordeals. We cannot avoid stress. Situations arise on a day-to-day basis which make physical and mental and emotional demands on us. There may be decisions that we have to make and deadlines that we need to meet and lessons that we need to learn. The stress response was a fight or flight response initially, marked by the outpouring of epinephrine and neuroepinephrine from our inner adrenal glands, and they increase heart and respiration rates. They mobilize sugar and fat, and they dull pain. The hypothalamus and pituitary gland are also respond to stress, and that's a slow response. And it triggers the outer adrenal glands to secrete glucocorticoids or cortisol. It doesn't matter whether we're at work or play. Stress is the driving force that keeps us on our toes and ensures that we push ourselves to be the best we can be. Now, after bereavement or divorce, work is the third biggest cause of stress. I'm sure you're not surprised by that. Over half of all workers believe that stress is damaging their health. And as well as impacting on people's health and well-being, it also damages social lives and relationships. Stress is that feeling of, hold on. Not all stress is bad. So eustress is when it's healthy. It gives people that feeling of fulfillment. I'm sure that some of you knew about this, but when you're working, when you're working out, like it's a positive feeling. It energizes you, but it's short term. It can improve performance, and these things that can cause eustress are like when you start a new job, when you get a promotion, when you go on holiday, when you move into that new home, when you learn something new, when you're playing a video game, if you have a child, if you retire. Like these are good kinds of stress, and there's a stress arc. So if you feel like you want to be in the middle of the stress arc here. So like you don't want to get towards burnout. So like you want to be creative and motivated and energetic, but if you get too much of that, you're going to move towards tiredness. People who are under prolonged stress are at greater risk of health problems like high blood pressure and heart attacks. So distress is when you start to fall on the wrong side of the stress chart. I mean, this causes great pain, anxiety, and sorrow, and mental suffering. So distress is obviously unpleasant. It depletes your energy. It's a longer short term. And this is when you have financial challenges, personal injury and illness, unemployment, legal problems, all of these things that we're aware are personal stressors. And and a lot of people just kind of tell you, you just have to get over it. And that's not what we hear when we're stressed. But those lack of control, the inability to influence decisions that affect your job, such as your schedule, assignments, or workload, these lead to job burnout. So could a lack of resources you need to do your work, unclear job expectations. If you're unclear about the degree of authority you have or what your supervisor or others expect from you, you're not likely to feel comfortable at work. Dysfunctional workplace dynamics. Like perhaps you work with an office bully or you feel undermined by colleagues or your boss micromanages your work. This can contribute to job stress, mismatches in values. If your values differ from the way your employer does business or handles grievances, this mismatch can eventually take a toll. Or a poor job fit. If your job doesn't fit your interests or skills, it might become increasingly stressful over time. Extremes of activity. When a job is monotonous or chaotic, you need to constant energy to remain focused, which can lead to fatigue and job burnout. Lack of social support. If you feel isolated at work and in your personal life, you might feel more stressed. Work-life imbalance. If your work takes up so much of your time and effort that you don't have the energy to spend time with family and friends, you might burn out quickly. And all of this adds up. The more stresses you feel, the more stressors at work and at home, it eventually leads to burnout. And a lot of burnout really has to do with experience chronic stress. In those situations, the demands being placed on you exceed the resources you have available to deal with those stressors. Left unchecked, burnout can wreak havoc on your health, happiness, relationships, and job performance. In order to catch burnout and combat it early, it's important to know what to look for. So, the impact on your behavior and those increased demands, like you start out with worry. Worry is like the easy like go-to drug there. That's the gateway drug to burnout. And then you start to feel a lot of anxiety or stress. But if you're feeling all of these all the time, then eventually you're going to get burned out. Now, stress is like you're overengaged, you're feeling like reactive, you've got this urgency and hyperactivity. Burnout, you just stop. You're just disengaged entirely. You're just helpless and you have motivation at all. At least with stress, like you still want to do things, but with burnout, you're just done. You nope out of everything. And now with COVID, like it's just kind of a roller coaster of everything because there's so much uncertainty with everything. Like they tell us one thing, like, oh, we're going to go back to work. Oh, wait, we're not going back to work. Oh, lockdown's over. Oh no. And with like work, it just doesn't seem to work. We don't know if our jobs are safe, if like work is going to be the same. So we have no idea if everything, I mean, we're just so much more unsteady in the world because of COVID. And then there's groups that are even more at risk for burnout because of COVID. I mean, like if you're a frontline worker, if you have family responsibilities at home, if you have if you have mental health factors, if you're returning to work after a long period of time, I mean, like you will have the deck stacked against you already. And now with COVID, with the isolation, um, like you're these stressors just add up and people just again they're like, oh well, everybody's dealing with it, so you just have to deal with it too, and that's not the answer. Like so if you are feeling like headaches and muscle tension, trouble with sleep, you're feeling overwhelmed and cynical. Like if you were already cynical because you're a developer, like, but you're more cynical and like everything is just sarcastic and you just don't want to go to work. You just are totally complaining all the time. You're apathetic. You just are so tired and you're losing your temper with everything and you just feel unfulfilled. Like this is a sign that you are probably burned out. And I know most of you listening to this are like, yeah, well, of course. So what do I do? Well, what can you do? I'm sure a lot of you have been told, well, just meditate. Well, how are you going to meditate when now you're living with kids and like they're bothering you every day, or you're in a one bedroom flat with like your entire family and you have to homeschool your kids, or you've been doing this for 2 years and there's no end in sight, or you had to leave your job and or one of the home. There's so many factors now that it's really hard to just take advice from people. So there's more than one type of self-care. First, there's the physical self-care. You can sleep more. Your body's tired anyway, so sleep more. You can just do stretches, like just while you're at your desk, start stretching. You can just get up and walk. Even just walking circles around the room while you're on a Zoom call is totally fine. Do yoga, do little rests. So there's physical things. There's the emotional things. So it's not just doing. So one of the things that we do at my company is primal screaming. So if you haven't heard of this, you can just go out into a room or into the woods or something, anywhere you want, really, into the bathroom, and just scream really loudly. And this actually works. It makes you feel better. Or you can actually like cook something and give it to someone. Just be nice. We have homeless days where we go out and we just help the homeless. So it's a nice, like, something that makes you feel emotionally good for yourself. Set boundaries for yourself. Like if you have to work from just a one room in your house, then say this is my room. No one can come bother me today. Ask for help. Be communicative. Just tell people how you are feeling, what you need. Then, of course, there are the spiritual things like meditation, religion, go into nature, have your sacred spaces, do journaling. But there's also your personal hobbies. Like if you're all into Call of Duty and that makes you feel better, do that. Play Call of Duty as much as you need to until you feel better. Go walk your dog. Another thing that people find good is to get really into their finances. Understand like where you are, where you want to be. And I know that that's difficult if you may have lost a job, if one of your if somebody in your family, like if your finances are different, but taking care of that is good. Also, time management is very helpful. And for some people, getting really organized is a good to be helpful for self-care. So here's a good one to keep on track. These are good questions that you can ask yourself. So how am I feeling today or right now? Like if you want to check in with yourself to see, like, am I getting burned out, or am I getting better? Like, how am I feeling? When did I last eat? When did I last drink some water? When did I last breathe in deeply? When did I last take a shower or get out of my pajamas? Or what can I do today that will actually bring me some joy? So I want, like, if you want to get yourself out of a burnout state, if you want to, because everyone is burned out, it's really hard to ask people to help you when they can't help themselves. So we're going to have to turn in to ourselves and try and drag ourselves up. So asking yourself to check in with yourself is a really helpful thing to do. Now, a lot of us have coping mechanisms. Some of them are not so great. A lot of us have turned to alcohol or drinking a lot. Eating a lot, smoking a lot, not sleeping, working too much, and sometimes it's even just ranting online in forums. I've seen a lot of posts on Reddit that I don't think I would have seen before. And some people are just withdrawing entirely and not talking to people. So some other coping mechanisms that that might be better instead are writing about it, but not necessarily posting on forums, exercising, uh, again, walking the dog. I don't have any pets, but I have a can of Spam on a leash that I will walk around. I know it's a little crazy, but I mean it's fun, and it also like lets people talk to my neighbors are, oh, that's like, why do you do that? Oh, well, it's a conversation starter, and then it gets people talking and laughing, and that's actually a good thing. And seeing your friends and going out and doing things, even distanced. But most importantly, taking a day off. Don't work all the time. We don't have to. Now, as an employer or as a coworker, we can easily fall into traps where we're having conversations that are unhealthy. And we don't even necessarily mean it. Like we might be using some graveyard humor at work, and talking about like how well we did on a project, and comparing ourselves to how well somebody else did. So what we might want to do instead is just check in with the team and ask, how is everybody doing? Do some postmortems, talking about how we can solve problems together. What are our real priorities at work? What are our real priorities for health? And just really doing postmortems and sticking to work, but also making sure that you check in with people and see how they are as a person. So I've mentioned journaling, and this is something that I use because I mean I'm an engineer, so I want to make sure that I'm actually checking in to see how I'm doing over time, and I write this down daily to see like, okay, so how am I feeling today and on what day, and even the time too. Like if I was feeling like on this day, this is how I was feeling and at what level. So I'll rate myself 1 out of 10 for each of these things, and then over time, I can see what my score was. So I can see if I'm giving myself ones for like 2 weeks in a row, then I know that I need to go talk to somebody and ask for help. And by paying attention to all of these things, and really just checking with yourself, asking yourself questions, and being willing to get out there and be honest, then you have a chance of, if you're already burned out, pulling yourself out of it, and it's just stressed, then keeping yourself from burning out. Now, if you do need help, here are some places that you can turn to within England. There's the Shout Christ line, the Samaritan's line, the Calm line, and you can also check out the Mix if you're younger, or if you want to point that out for your kids or your younger siblings. And here are some apps. There's a lot of them that can help. So there's one that I highly recommend is 7 Cups. That is a place where you can go and just find people to talk to. Also, there like Headspace is wonderful for finding a way to meditate. And there's so many others, but you can just start learning how to do this. For more information, I'll share these slides as well, but you can learn how to manage your energy, how to have conversations with people, how to measure your burnout. There's all these things, but mostly just ask for help. Like if you're not feeling great, if you're not feeling 100%, learn how to ask for help. You can reach out to me if you don't know where to start. And I'm happy to point you into the right direction, but I do hope that there is an end to this. As engineers, as developers, as CTOs, as leaders, it's our job to model the behavior we want people to have, and it's really hard for us when we're turned inward on ourselves.